Hey, this is the Palava Hut. Stay tuned for episode 3.
Welcome back. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Richland.
And I'm Hawa.
And we're back again with episode 3 of the Palava Hut.
Yeah, so last week we talked a little bit about social media and the impact on our lives and like the bigger impact. So we had a great discussion. And we also mentioned the librarian athletes.
Yeah. Actually, there's actually a GoFundMe page, and it's on our last week's show notes, so you guys go check it out. And if you feel like it, go donate.
Yeah, so we'll jump right into this week's episode. We're going to start with our icebreaker, Richland.
Yep.
Yes. Well, the icebreaker for this week is kind of crazy. All right, so are you ready for it? Brace yourselves. What is your favorite childhood TV show? If you could bring back a TV show from your childhood, what would it be?
Should I go first?
Yeah, you should.
Okay, mine is As Told by Ginger. Please do not start singing the
Someone once told me the grass is much greener.
Yes, As Told by Ginger. I love that show. I wish they could actually bring it back. That was really good.
Did you really connect with Ginger?
Melissa was always Ginger Fowley.
I was the boyfriend with the dreadlocks.
No,
Ginger!
Even though at the time I felt like it was a little too grown for me, but...
What grade were you watching it in?
What year did As Told by Ginger come on?
We were in elementary school.
We have to be in, like,
school.
But she was in high school.
No, she was in like middle school.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think they were in like the 5th grade, honestly.
Oh, I thought she was in high school.
Oh my gosh,
I'm gonna
that
have to
show
look
was
that
so
up.
grown.
That's what I'm saying. For
Do
our
you guys
age.
remember Zoe 101, how grown that show was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I remember
she
watching
got
that
knocked
recently and like,
up. They stopped.
they never went to class. It's a man business.
They were always in their dorm.
They never went to class.
I remember
In the dorm or in the cafeteria or in the little lounge area.
Yeah.
I felt like I got a whiff of Kylie Jenner's life.
Every week we talk about Kylie Jenner.
Every week. She's amazing.
Anyways, how
kidding.
about you, Hala? What was your favorite?
I have to go with Hey Arnold. I really
Hey
love that show.
Arnold.
Yes.
That was my show. I
Who
really
did you connect with? Helga?
Helga
identified
Jupataki.
with Helga's older sister.
I didn't know her last name.
Identify with Helga's older sister. The day she cried in the black tears.
Oh, I remember.
And I was like, oh, white people crying black tears.
It was her eyeliner.
I didn't know what eyeliner was. I'm sorry.
Richland, how about you?
Oh my gosh, I would definitely have to say the Rugrats.
Who did you connect with? Tommy?
I loved. Yes, I did connect with Tommy. He was so adventurous. He had that crazy little screwdriver in his diaper that he pulled out to just move the hinge that he could have moved with his finger. Oh my gosh.
Tommy had diaper rashes.
But that's
A
Screwdriver.
rusty screwdriver in his diaper.
you know what? I think his mom had it under control with the way she was always researching what Dr. Lipschitz had next.
Well, that's fun to know.
Yeah, the good times back 90s,
I know.
early 2000s. All right. Now we're going to transition to our Black Girl Magic section. And so this week we're going to highlight Lema Bowie. She is a Liberian Nobel Peace Prize winner. She is awesome. I think her life really exemplifies Black Girl Magic. And recently, actually, she won another medal. I think it was like a Lifetime Peace Achievement Award or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like last weekend. But yeah, she has a lot of amazing books. Not one book, actually. She wrote a book about her life. It's called Mighty Be Our Powers, and it really highlights her struggle through the war, becoming a woman, that coming of age story, but also in like the midst of the war. So like the year she graduated, the war started. She graduated from high school, and like all this is happening in the background of like her life going on as well. So it's a really interesting book. I really think people should check that out and just kind of look up Lema Bowie. She's just like an amazing woman and just like killing it. She has the Bowie Foundation, and that really supports young people around the world. So
What do you
specifically in Liberia.
Oh, my apologies. What do you think your favorite part was in the book when you read it?
There's this particular part where like, gosh, it's the war. I can't remember what year it was, but it was like shortly after the war. She had like about 3 kids at the time, or maybe a little bit more. And her husband, or the guy she was with, had left her. He was really abusive, and she had moved back to Liberia from Ghana. and she was like pretty like depressed and down and out and just like my life is just going nowhere. I have all these kids that have nothing going for me. And her mom came up to her. Her mom's like, I would tie my waist. I would tie my waist, Lima. Anything will talk to each other. So like for her, that was a pivotal moment in her life that really changed the trajectory of her life. And like as a reader reading that, I'm like, oh my, I'm not living that life. Right. Like I'm not in the midst of a war. My mom's telling me to tie her waist, but like, I really connected with that to see like someone can be in all these circumstances, all the odds stacked against them, but to really overcome that. Now she has a Nobel Peace Prize. Right. She's speaking around the world. She has an awesome book. So I think that lady's amazing. I love her.
I gotta
check
check
it
that
out,
book.
guys. Me too. I gotta check that out.
We gotta read it, Melissa.
Definitely.
So check out that book. What are we gonna talk about this week?
This week topic is back to school. Yes, it's the first week back to school for college students, right?
Mm-hmm. For some people,
or some people, not all.
I think even some high school
middle
students.
school, elementary, high school. So some, are going back to school. So, well, welcome back, guys. I know you had a great summer, but
it's back.
Someone once told me.
Oh my goodness! So, what was you guys' favorite back to school memory?
I think it would have to be the night before you go to school. The night before your first day of school. Just preparing for, showing off your new blade, your new outfits, your new hairdo, new shoes, all your school supplies. I know I couldn't sleep, the night before. I don't know. That's like you're so excited. You want to see your friends just to show off. And not really excited for school, but
just excited for who's in your class.
Yeah,
Speak
so
for
I would
yourself.
have to say, I have to say the night before. Can't sleep. I think majority of us couldn't sleep.
Yeah, I think that's like everyone in the continental United States.
I think I couldn't sleep because my mom did my hair and I couldn't sleep.
It was too tight.
It was so tight. And then I would tell her when she finished braiding her last braid, it's too tight, Mom.
Shut out your mouth.
You put in man business. I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah. I think my favorite memory was specifically 6th grade. The first day of 6th grade. I remember what I wore. I wore this poncho because ponchos were in.
Oh, they really were.
They were. Everybody had a poncho.
I had a pink and brown one.
I just remember the first day of school, after school we were leaving, and this boy, he couldn't close his locker, and he was crying, I'm gonna miss my bus. And it was the first day of school, and it was going to Jackson, and everybody didn't know how the lockers work because they were sucky and all that stuff. The boy's crying, we just rescued him.
What?
We helped him open his locker. So that was nice. I remember I'm this is a great start to middle school. This is gonna be a great adventure. And then it wasn't.
I think that's when I actually met. No, it was in 8th grade. I met you.
You met me?
I saw your short self walking in the hallway.
Wow, Melissa, that was the worst day of my life.
When I met you in 6th grade, and I met Melissa in 8th grade.
Oh, my favorite memory from middle school about Richland. How I met Richland.
Oh my gosh!
How did you?
Do we need to share this?
Yes.
The first time I noticed Richland was the first time I even gave her a breath of my time was in
It was the best day of my life.
Yeah, okay.
It was in 6th grade, and we were sitting at the same table, but she was down at the other end, and I was at the other end, right? With my friends, and she was with her friends, and
What friends?
And
Melissa's
so
coming
Richland
hard.
was laughing like she always does, even on the show, and milk came out of her nose. And I remember staring down at the table. I'm like, I will never talk to that girl. I will never talk to that girl.
Little did she know.
10 years later.
Okay, first of all, the way that we three ladies actually connected
was by you.
I called Hawa on the house phone because in those days I didn't have
Cell
a house.
phones.
I didn't have a cell
We didn't have
phone.
cell phones.
So I called Hawa on the house phone in high school. I should have had a cell phone. So I call Hawa. She picks up the phone. First, I did flying plenty. So I'm like, oh, okay. Is this a bad time? Yeah, I'll call you back. So I didn't actually think she was gonna call me back. I was like, what a waste of my time. So then Hawa actually calls me. We have a great conversation. I'm like, you know who we should call? Melissa. So we add Melissa on 3-way. She's puzzled why we're calling her. Hi. Yeah. Okay. And then we just kept talking, and just like we are now, the jokes just kept flying, and now here we are 10 years later.
Is that how we really started talking?
That's literally how it is.
I had class with Melissa also.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I
How
met
would
Howard-
they just be on the phone
No,
randomly?
I met Howard in 6th grade, and we met like, I think during orientation.
Which the only thing I remember from 6th grade is you like
Is with the
spilling
milk.
that milk out of your nose.
I knew of Howard in middle school, but we didn't
I
become friends
remember
until
like Howard
freshman.
coming. I remember Howard specifically, and I remember you because I'm like,
I
oh, she's
remember
really
you, too.
pretty. And Melissa said, you know,
Anyway, so what's the next question?
Yeah, let's not get into this. Like, let's go into our stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when
Melissa had that. I'm kidding. The way she quickly transitioned. No, let's go to the next topic.
But yeah, we're talking about education this week.
Right? Back to school.
Oh, and I forgot to even share
Well,
my
yeah,
favorite back to
yeah.
school. My favorite back to school memory is the first day of class. You know when you walk in and everything's fresh, everything's new, you got your latest and greatest clothes on.
Yeah.
Melissa, be quiet. So, you know, I remember just like the hallway, going through so many people, going to my first class and being late, trying to get from one place to another. That was for me the greatest memory. It was after
What grade was that?
all grades. No, it was my freshman year of high school. That
high
was
school?
yeah.
Gosh, freshman year. Anyway.
I think we're all nervous because it's like transitioning from middle school to high school.
I wasn't.
Really?
No, I was.
Oh. But yeah, in line with education. Like, you know, in a lot of African households, I know in mine, like, education's like constantly like pushed
The
down your
topic.
throat.
That's every house.
And stressed,
24
you know?
hours.
So, like, was that like something constant in your households, or did you experience that from like, not only just your parents,
I feel
but,
like I
your
always talk
family?
first, so one of you guys gonna talk.
I'm just respectful. I'm kidding. Yeah, for me it was the same thing. You know, my family always stressed education, from mom to grandma to, you know, uncles and aunts to people calling you from Africa. You in college yet? Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. How are you? You know, so yeah, it was the same thing for my family. The only thing is I didn't actually choose the road to go to college right away. I took some time. So
Still taking time.
Oh yeah, I'm still taking time, you know. It doesn't mean I don't plan to go back, but I just plan to go back in my own time.
Right.
But yeah, one of the things is that was heavily stressed in our family. And, you know, kind of choosing not to go was, you know, I dealt with a lot of feelings like, oh, you know, I'm a failure. You know, what am I doing with myself and my life? Like, school is everything. So it took me a few years to kind of get back to reality that, you know, school is, it's huge, and it really does, like, if you're planning on doing anything, I think if you go to school and you find something that you want to go to school for, it's really impactful. But if you don't, sometimes I believe it can be a waste of time, you know? So,
Right, if you're not doing something you're passionate about.
yeah, if you're just going just to go and just because your family wants you to go, but you may not want to go for what you want to go for, I think that it may be more hurtful than helpful to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What about you, Melissa?
I would say, yeah, the same as Richland. Education and college was heavily talked about in our home, especially having two brothers and older brothers. You know, they went to college after high school, so it's like, okay, you're next. You know, it's
You were the baby.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. Like, you have to go. It wasn't so much like my mom pressure us, but it was like something that you knew you had to do. Like right after high school, it's like, okay, you go to college. You know, not to say like she would have said, "Oh yeah, you can sit down for 1 year," but you know, she wasn't right. Like, you know, we talked about it, and she, you know, asked me, "What do you want to do?" and all of that stuff. And also, like you said, uncles and aunts, you know, they were, "Oh, where you going to college? You want to be a doctor? You'll be, what do you want to be?" You know, it was like they always had like these big ideas for you, and you're just like, "No, I just want to. I don't know yet. I just want
to play Ludo."
Right.
You don't know?
Successfully. I want to go to Olympics for Ludo. Liberia wins gold.
You're gonna move your useless child. I mean, whatever she wants to do.
But yeah, the same as Richland, it was heavily talked about in the home.
Yeah, I think for me too. Like, I don't even think college was an option. It was more like, this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Next. Like, this is the next step.
Like you brush your teeth, you go to college.
Yeah, it's just like another thing you have to do. But I mean, I think I appreciate it now being out of college, but definitely at that time there wasn't much choice there. I think that's like, it's an African thing, it's a Liberian thing, but also it's just like how our society is set up.
Right.
Yeah.
In school, they don't even tell you there's other options.
Right. It's in order
College,
for you
college,
to...
college. You know, in Chapman Park, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to post, you know, in the Rebel Report, in the newspaper, they used to put like what your name and where you were going.
Yep.
Yeah.
They did that at the end
That's
of
a
the
lot
year.
of pressure.
And then you would see some people undecided, like if
Or
they
like Nazi.
yeah, like they would have undecided.
Or they would put like Navy or like Army
Yeah.
and then like
Undecided.
school or wherever they're going. I still have that paper somewhere.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Pull it
I don't
out.
know what mine is.
Don't bring on our 10th grade yearbook.
I should have brought our yearbook.
Really?
Yeah, I still have our
Some
picture.
memories deserve to be left in the past.
Just yours.
But like going off of what you were saying earlier, Richard, like a lot of, I don't know, I would say just, I can only speak on the librarian community because that's the community I'm a part of. But like, if you're not in the librarian community, if you're not going to school, you're like useless. Like, you know, for lack of a better word, people just assume that you're not going to do anything with your life because they just assume they connect school with success and there's no in between. So like, if you don't go to school, there's a lot of like, there's social pressure, there's all these norms you're breaking, and people have all these like ridicules about you. And
Exactly.
I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like,
Well, my opinion about it is, essentially, if you're in a librarian household, I of course that stress is going to definitely be there. I think there's one part of you that has to be like true to yourself. Figure out what you want to do, because a lot of times, like family, they don't even mean to do it purposefully, but they want you to succeed so much. Sometimes they tell you what you should do versus you kind of discovering it for yourself. And I think that's one thing that we deal with, like being librarian children, is trying to figure out that fine line of when do I make this decision and when do I allow my parents to help me.
Yeah.
You know, because parents are there to support you, but they're not there necessarily to make that decision for you. So I think a part of it is you have to figure out what you want to do, find your passion, especially if you're in high school transition and go to college. That is the perfect time to explore, you know? So
Adding on to you, too,
Yeah.
it's like majority of our parents didn't have the opportunity to go to college
Yep.
because of the war.
Yep.
So it's like they just have this idea like, okay, we've sacrificed so much for you that this is the next step. You have to be successful. You need to be successful so you don't live or go through the hardship of what they went
That's
through.
right.
You know? Not just the war, but coming to another country and having to like do things that they don't want to do, but they have to do for their family in order to survive.
Yeah.
So it's like they need you to go to college so
Yeah.
they can say, you know what, I did all this struggle, but I see my kid doing better than what the chances I had.
And if you hear about some of these war stories, they're so gruesome that when a kid decides not to go to college,
Takes your parents back.
it feels like a slap in the face.
The PTSD like hits them. Go to my dog, like. But you know,
Exactly.
Sorry, I just,
Not to cut you
not to
off.
cut you off. Back to the first episode. Not to cut you off. But, no, I don't remember. I wasn't there. But my mom said like the worst. I know my mom graduated high school like
Same
the
here.
month she graduated high
Yeah.
school.
Same here, my mom.
Charles Taylor sieged in my country.
Oh gosh, that need my counter.
And so she didn't get to go to college right away, and not because she didn't want to or she couldn't, but like the school was closed, you know, like so it's like for them to not have the school closed, the country stable. You're like, no, I'm good,
Right? I don't want to go.
Like you said, it's like a slap in the face. It's almost like, man, like I lost the opportunity. You know, I felt like my youth was being wasted because I was like sitting there watching my life go by as people were fighting outside and you're here and just not doing anything. And I think that's where the communication lacks between like parent and child or whatever, where like the child might have passions in somewhere else, you know, and the parents don't really understand why it's not school related. So I really hate that notion that if somebody doesn't go to school, like they're automatically useless or they're not doing anything. You know, there's other paths out there. Not saying school's not important, but you know, to just assume somebody's like not up to anything because they're not going to school, to me is just really, I don't like it.
Well, I feel like we have to be real at some point too, because being librarian, one of the major majors that our parents stress for kids to go to school for is nursing.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, my mom was going to LU for nursing. That's so weird. And then the war started.
Tell you.
Oh, what?
Just a side note.
We got him on side.
Every librarian parent would do in the class.
Right?
I would do in that class. And you feel it. It's like, you guys were all deuce in the class.
You guys were all gonna graduate.
I was top of my class.
You read those transcripts, you
You won't cry.
they're glad it burned.
They like purposely threw it away. Oh, that was...
Anyways, what was you saying?
No, but I was saying, Liberians in the community really stress going to school for nursing. And I know I know they don't mean it in a horrible way, like go to school for this one career. But I think me and you are having a conversation, we're all having a conversation, how you brought up the fact that nursing is, one of the careers that they feel like they know that you're going to have a career after you graduate. Yeah. It's guaranteed. They've seen it work for so many people in our community. So why not go ahead and take that path? And sometimes the breakdown is not everyone's a nurse. I'm not a nurse. Right. You're not a nurse. We're not all nurses. Melissa has the gift of being a nurse. She's actually patient. She actually, this is her passion. If I see something, if I have to deal with people, in that setting, I couldn't do it, Yeah. So it's like everybody has a different passion. Everybody was created with a different purpose. So I feel like sometimes with the kids, you have to find what you're passionate about. Even if your parents are stressing like you to go to school for one thing, that has to be your responsibility. As tough as it is, you may not have the family that says, you know what, go, think about your singing career. Or go, I'm saying like anything that you're passionate about that you may have found out about that your parents don't know if you'll be successful in, because there's that fear there too. Is what if you don't make it?
That instability.
Exactly.
Even without just like things, it's like careers like singer or whatever. Even if you say, oh, I want to major in like political science, something
journalism,
something like more. Public health, like me, but like something that's a little less like
all of us healthy. I'm kidding.
Something that they perceive that's not as stable as like a health career, like a specific, doctor, nurse, whatever, lawyer. But
adding on, sorry, are you done?
No, I'm not done.
Not to cut you off.
No, I'm just saying if it's not those careers, that instability scares our parents, because this is still a strange land at the end of the day. Like we've lived here for a really long time, but like. We are still foreigners in a sense, especially to our parents, where it's like, okay, I want my child to be successful. I want my child to be able to sustain themselves. This is a career that I know they can sustain themselves with. Why not? Why not they do this? So I don't know.
I mean, which is true. We'll need a lot of nurses in the future.
Yeah.
No, but if everybody does nursing, we go back to, they deport us, we go back to Liberia.
Who will teach us?
Who will teach us how to build houses?
The nest. The nest.
Anyway, adding on to what Rachel has said, and also we have to remember, like, majority of our parents are CNAs, so they work with nurses, so that's, like, the only, like, career they see, like, oh, you have to be a nurse, you make a lot of money, you do this, and it's like, not everyone, like you said, not everyone have the passion for that.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of hard work. It's very stressful.
A nurse is a calling, not
too,
I really feel you have to be called to be a nurse. Like, you can't just jump up one day and say, oh, I'm gonna do nursing.
Some people I used to work with, like, who just did nursing for the money, or like work in
horrible
school.
Nurses.
Yeah,
in school for nursing for the money.
Trust me, I've worked with many.
They were just like, I'm just like, oh, I'm so scared when you get your license. I'm so scared.
Because
they don't have the passion. Yeah, it's like they just go bam, bam, do their job, and like
that's it.
It's
so just like
then,
go ahead.
What was the question? Did I answer?
I don't even know. But
well, I just wanted to make this last point. So, I was talking about the parent, like the kids being responsible, and also too is like we're having this podcast. We're also going to touch like older Liberian people who are parents. Also too, make sure that you educate yourself with what other careers are out there, so that when your kids are planning on going to college, even though maybe may feel strongly about nursing or whatever career that you think that they should go after, but also make sure that you give them the opportunity to choose, and also too that you give them you also show them that, oh, I researched and I looked into this, because I think that'll also shock your children too. And then kudos for those parents who are already doing that, and the kids who are also following suit. Because it takes a lot of work to kind of find your own path. So.
And also, shout out to, like, the graduates of this year. Like, I see a lot of them in different career paths. And it's like, you guys are doing very really good. Cool. Congrats, how? I'm just kidding.
Right?
Not yet. Well, what's up next year? But when she get that master. But,
right?
No, seriously, I see a lot of Liberian children or adults, young adults now, going into different career paths. Shout out to you guys. You're doing a good job. So.
Shout out to you too, ladies, because, Melissa, I know how hard it is to raise two kids. I'm kidding. No, but I mean, you make like raising 2 kids look easy, and then to going to school, working, all that stuff, like that's a
American dream.
I mean, that's really tough, and so like I really want to acknowledge you for all the hard work that you put in, and like this girl doesn't quit. You know, sometimes you have a couple of kids are like, let me just sit down small, man, just relax. But Melissa doesn't put her foot on the brake pedal. You know, she keeps going, and I can see her kids are like, you know, the most motivating factor. And you too, Howard, like even like we're so proud of you to be pursuing your master's.
I know, right after, because usually people take like, let me take a year,
take a
but
smoke
she's
break,
like,
man.
no, I'm going for the kill.
You know, Howard just jumped right in there. And the thing about it is, the thing that you guys may not know about Howard is just she's so determined.
Yes.
But when you talk to her, she's so down to earth.
Yeah.
You know, and being...
And she nods her head no.
it's all fake. You know,
No,
but
really though.
Yeah, well, so you go ahead because that one...
Yeah, she's very laid back. Like, you guys don't even understand.
Yeah.
Chill.
Luda right now.
But when it comes to Howard doing her
Like,
work,
but she's
like,
very
don't mess with her.
focused, and she knows what she wants, and she's determined to get it done. You know, she doesn't waste time. It could be tough sometimes, but you wouldn't know set.
Yeah, but
Like-
Howard's like one level.
As we talk to each other, she listens.
Back to the
Anyway.
But I think we should all talk a little bit about our experiences, like,
Yeah.
because we all took really different paths. So, like,
Oh, yeah,
Rachel and Melissa were
definitely.
saying,
Oh yeah,
we've all
being-
taken different paths.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You know, graduating high school or being pregnant in high school. You know, at the end of my senior year, and then graduating and having a baby at a young age, and trying to like, you know, show my parents that or my family that, you know, even though I got pregnant at a young age, I'm gonna have a baby. I can still try to finish or start college. You know, it was very tough. It was very, very tough
When,
because, you know,
when you say tough, Melissa, like, what
as
does that
far
look
as-
like?
Okay, so
People who don't know your life.
people say I'm very private, which I am. I only
Last week you're talking about privacy. Scatter.
I only share it with my close friends, but like,
So you don't have to share like all your intimate details.
but like you said, what being private to me or the struggle.
Yeah.
Having a child at 19 or 18, 19 at that time, and trying to balance having morning classes, having a baby who's crying at 4 a.m, having work after you have your 8 a.m. class. It's very tough because you're trying to balance all that. You're trying to balance sleep. You're trying to balance being a good mom. You know, seeing your child grow, all the little steps that they take, whether it's like their first tooth or walking, crawling, all of that. And then studying, it's very tough, you know, and shout out to the moms, or the young moms who are trying their best to do all of that. It's very tough. I know personally how it feels, like you feel like giving up. And some days I felt like giving up. I'm like, you know, this is not something I need to do right now. I just need to focus being a mom, because trying to balance school, work, and being a mom at the same time was very hard.
So were you like, you took a break, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how was that for you? Get into that decision and then like going back into school, what was that like for you?
Taking the break was kind of hard because especially when the semester or the fall semester started and you see all your friends going back to school and it's like all you do is work. I don't know, for me, I just felt like I felt empty. I felt like I had let myself down because it's like you graduate with your friends. You see, you know, it's like their final year in college or, you know, they're a junior in college and it's like, what are you doing with your life? Just working? You know, I felt disappointed in myself and I'm like, I know I can do it, but it was just so hard. And then moving away from my family too made it even harder because it's like I didn't have my mom there, you know, in a sense, like where I would talk to her about, I would talk to her on the phone about things.
State.
Yeah, but it's like I'm in a different state and it's like sometimes I would just want to go over to her house and, you know, I just couldn't do all of that. So like seeing people go back to school and me just working, I was like, this can't be life for me, you know. I have to do something with my life. I have to like show my daughter, you know, at the time, I have to show her like I had you at a young age, but it didn't stop me from continuing my education, you know. Yeah. I'm still working towards it. It's still not easy now having 2 kids, but I just feel like I just need to, not only for them, but for myself.
Yeah.
Like I need to like fulfill what I want to do in life to make myself happy before I can make them happy.
That's right.
You know.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's my love.
But now you're back in school.
I know.
Yeah.
1 more year left. I can't wait.
That's exciting.
2 snaps.
What about you, Richland? The path you took.
Well, for me, I decided to work I went through some difficulties like right away in my household with, my family. So leaving the home wasn't the best experience. Within the first year, I didn't go to college. And it was really hard, like you were talking about, when you took the time off to just work. I was waiting to get certain, documentations and things like that in the mail, and it took some time. So, all you could do is wait to be able to even work, and I had a family member be able to take me in and let me stay with them for a year as those documents came. I mean, it took a whole year. Immigration is no joke.
Yeah.
And for me, it was really heartbreaking to look on Facebook and see my friends, going off to college. And, like you were talking about, there was that emptiness inside. I think I even shut down Facebook for a good minute because it was so painful, like that back to school season. And, so for me, when I finally did get my papers, it was so exciting to be able to work and have a job and be able to support myself. It didn't happen right away. I had to go from, I was receiving, help from different people. And then finally I was able to find a career path. Like I said, I work at the bank where I was actually able to utilize my skill sets. Now, just because I didn't go to school didn't mean I didn't learn. I took growth training and development classes where, even if I'm not going to get educated in these books, I at least need to train myself. How can I be functional in the workplace? How can I change any atmosphere that I enter in? How can I speak better? How can I connect with people better? How can I be a better listener? How can I just be a better human being? And so I did, growth training development courses for 2 years. So when I I even went to a job out of state, and I just remember thinking I was working, and even though I loved, what I was doing, I felt a sense of emptiness, So when I came back to Minnesota, I ended up getting another job. And with this one, I actually get to work with people. So a lot of the growth training development that I did, I realized I get to utilize on the court working with different individuals. And so what I lacked in education, I actually made it up in work experience. And not to say that I'm not going to go back to school, because I am, but it was just, for me, that was my path that I took. And I really feel like I appreciate the path that I took, because nobody else can live my life for me.
Exactly.
And if you know where I come from, those were big steps for me to be able to take, to be able to find independence, take care of myself, get my documents, and just be able to find my own purpose. So I'm still finding it day by day. I'm still trying to figure out, okay, God, what have you called me to do here? What's the impact I'm supposed to make on the world here? And I am, when the time comes for me to go to school, I'll be excited, because now I'm not going to school unsure of what I want to do. I have a full idea, sense of, okay, this is what I want to apply it to. So for me, that was my experience, and I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's good.
Hawa Fafana.
FIFA.
Hawaii. Faf Anna.
Well, my experience was, I would say it was pretty typical, but of course, I went to college right after high school. So I went into the university, and I didn't live on campus, so that was a little bit different. So most people go onto campus, and my parents were like, "No, you will live in a house until you marry." So I'm still at home. I went straight off to college, and I was comedian. It was fine. It was a good 4 years, but my freshman year was really rocky. So some of the things Richard was talking about, not really knowing what you wanted to do. So I went into Melissa pulls up a chair.
I know.
I didn't
Sips
know
her
that.
tea with her pinky out.
That's you.
Tell me more.
So I started off being pre-med track. So I was doing neuroscience, actually. So it was biology and psychology, and I was taking the pre-med courses. And it was really overwhelming. My first year of college was overwhelming. My first semester, because I dropped all the classes after that. This is not for me. But so I went into college thinking I'm going to do pre-med. I'm going to be a doctor. I wanted to be an OBGYN, Bill Cosby, until he raped those women.
Okay.
I remember in high school, it was I was going to be
I don't know if I believe it.
Okay. It's a different story for another day.
Another episode.
I'm kidding. There's women who are you don't believe it. No, that was just a joke.
I wanted to be an OBGYN, and that was my track I was taking, and I started taking the courses, and it just, I wasn't really interested. I don't really like science, so I knew that going in, I didn't like science, but I wanted to be a doctor, and that was the path you had to take
Right.
to get there. So I really that first semester I really struggled and I didn't do very well and I just really didn't like it. And I was like, I didn't take the next set of the courses. So like you would take like the chemistry, biology the first, and then you go on to the second in the spring. So I didn't take the classes in the spring. I decided, okay, I need to take this time to really figure out what I wanted to do. So I just took some general classes. So the school I went to, you had to take like theology. It was a Catholic school. So all these other like theology, philosophy. So I took all of those like my second semester, my freshman year, really trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I really had no idea. So like one day I was like marketing, and the next day I was like English, and the next day I was like marketing. And like all over the place, you know, changing majors, thinking I wanted to do psychology. I finally decided on psychology, and I took like a second level psychology course. I can't remember the name of it. I just really hated it. It was so boring. I'm like, this isn't really for me. I don't really see myself pursuing this full time. So I was still I was still under a psychology major, but not really knowing what I wanted to do and like changing my major here and there. My parents really sat me down. They were like, you got to pick something. You really can't just be, because essentially if you're in college and you're changing majors, you're wasting money. Mm-hmm. You know, like as much as the classes are still valuable, you're learning things, but you're wasting money. So my parents were like, if you want to sit and think about what you want to do, you can just go to the community college. Like you can just go and decide there instead of like going to this $40,000 school to decide what you want to do. And so, and you know, I had to keep my grades up because I had a scholarship, and if your grades drop below a certain grade point average, you can lose your scholarship. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I have to figure out what I want to do. And so freshman year ended, still had no idea. Spent the summer trying to really explore what I wanted to do, still had no idea. Nothing. And actually how I stumbled upon public health, I was working at this group home actually over like the summer. And this girl told me she was going to go get her master's in public health. She did architecture, it just didn't work out. So she was like, I'll just do public health. And so I just remember she said that to me in passing, and I just never really thought about it. And so I was looking through my college's like majors and stuff. I saw that they had this, at the time, it was called community health education. But the classes were all like listed as public health. So I took the first one. It was called I don't remember what it's called. It was called personal health and wellness or something like that. And then like principles of public health, something like that. And I took that class, and I really liked the teacher more than actually the class. She was just really nice. And she was like the director of the program, and she was really nice. And I started looking more into the program, and I looked at all the courses, read the descriptions and stuff, and I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. I kind of like this. And then I started doing my own research about public health and like the careers you wanted to take, because at that time it was really hard for me to kind of overcome the idea that I wouldn't be a doctor anymore, because everybody in my family like expected me to be a doctor and wanted me to be a doctor. So like to just decide like I don't want to do that. My parents, I will give it out to my parents. My mom listens to this podcast. She listens to it in front of me, which is really uncomfortable. I hate it.
Shout out to you, mama.
But like my parents never put pressure on me to do anything particular, especially my dad. So he was just like, you just gotta pick something.
I love your dad. This is great.
So like there wasn't any pressure on me to pick something particular. I know they felt kind of bad that I wasn't going to be a doctor anymore, but they didn't pressure me to pick anything in particular. So it was really up to me, and I started exploring public health, and I told my parents about it. They were like, yeah, that sounds okay. And so I just decided to like pursue it, and I started taking the courses, and I really, really enjoyed them. So after I graduated, not saying public health is not a good career path, but like you kind of need a master's. You know, like there's careers you can do with a bachelor's in public health, definitely, but like the jobs I wanted particularly, they required a master's. So I decided to pursue that right after, because I know myself, the day I leave school is the day I don't go back. Because it's just been like I've been going to school nonstop since I was in kindergarten. You know?
Right.
And I did kindergarten twice.
Because of your age?
No,
that's pre-K. No.
We need to cut
Because
it.
Christy, but she has to take pre-K over.
No. I went to kindergarten in Liberia when I was 4.
Oh.
And then I was in first grade when I was 5, and I came to America. The people were like, you're going back to kindergarten. Because of like the age. So I had to
how old are you?
30.
I'm my real age, but like I just had to do kindergarten twice, once in Liberia and then once here. So
Okay.
So yeah, that was kind of my path. I really enjoy public health. I like the fact that it provides me with flexibility. So that's something I really needed in a career path, because with public health, it's very broad. You can go a lot of different ways with it. So that's what really appealed to me, and the fact that you can do it all over the world. So that was something that was really important to me. So they had those two factors. One, it wasn't limiting, and two, I could do it anywhere in the world. So that's kind of why I chose that path. So that was my journey through school. I'm still in school. I'll be done soon. Maybe I'll go back. Maybe I won't. But
No, she won't.
When it happens, we will stomp it.
That's me. We'll spread it like pie.
We will shake the casasas.
We
will shake buddy.
All right.
You know skills? Shake buddy.
But yeah, those
You'll
are
be
our
performing.
experiences.
Those are three totally different experiences, and
Yeah.
you can see how we're best friends.
But I think all our experiences are really important, because you can learn something from all of them, you know? And in the end, like, we're also doing really well in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can take different paths and still reach your goal. You don't have to go straight through, you know? I know a lot of people who went to college right away and now they're not there because they didn't really know what to do, or it wasn't for them, but they just kind of felt pressured into going into that.
Or even
I know a lot of people who
in
go
that
to
way.
college that I trained.
I know a lot of people who finish, graduate, and it's still hard for them to find jobs in their fields, you know,
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
hard.
like
That's
sometimes
really
they, you know, they're like, oh yeah, I could do that, and then the long run, they don't think of, is it going to be beneficial? Am I going to find a job?
There
Like,
goes that African parent mentality. Didn't I tell you?
no, it's not.
I'm
They're not
kidding.
telling you, because it's like, you know, like sometimes it's a good field to be in, but it's just really different, especially some of the states that you live in. It may not
that
be,
plays a factor, too.
yeah, you know, there may not be a lot of jobs in that field. So it's like you're here struggling, trying to find one, and it's like you have to
Yeah.
probably move, you know, or do something
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
So.
The great thing, the one advice I have, because I'm really good at getting jobs, is just to make yourself marketable in different ways.
She
You know,
definitely
like,
do that. I was busy Monday to Sunday.
so like, if you can't get a job in your field, like, volunteer. They're not gonna turn you down for free to work for free. You know, so a lot of times I get jobs that I'm not necessarily like qualified for, but because I've had all these different volunteer experiences, they boost my resume. You know, so it's like I'm not necessarily the, you know, I don't have
Best
all
candidate,
the,
but-
well, obviously I'm the best candidate because I got the job. No, I mean, like, now I am the best candidate. No, now I am. But like, when I was in college, like, I didn't have anything on my resume. But,
Right,
like,
yeah.
I started to build that up. Like, when you're in college, I think a lot of times our parents don't know necessarily that what you do during college also matters. Like, your summers, your weekends, your evenings.
So you mean you're not supposed to come home and go to the barbecues with them?
No, like, you have to be doing something. You have to be doing an
Productive,
internship. You have to be volunteering. Those things boost your resume up, you know. And sometimes, you know I hear a lot of people, they'll see a job and feel like they can't apply. Just apply. All they can do is tell you no.
No, right?
At the end of the day, and
You
then
applied.
you applied, you know. And then if you can't get the job that you necessarily want, like I said, try to find a volunteer opportunity that's similar, or an internship that's similar, to boost your resume. If you are in college and worried about, maybe I won't find a job when I'm done.
Ask the person who did your interview, you know, what could I have done differently? Get
yeah.
feedback, you know, and use that feedback to build your resume. Use that feedback to figure out what you're going to do with the next time that you apply for a job similar to that one.
Yeah.
You know, but don't just give up just because you didn't get it.
Yeah, and if you're in college too, like, really utilize your career center on your campus. Like, I go to the career coach. Like,
No,
I'm a
yeah.
career coach now. I went to him so much that I know everything that he does and I can do it for myself. But like, really just try to make yourself sometimes you don't have all the qualifications, but if your resume is like stellar,
Yeah.
and it looks nice and it's clean and it, you can highlight yourself, you can talk about yourself and have talking points, then you might just get a job that you're not expecting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And also, one thing I think, Melissa, you had actually brought this up in the conversation once, but you said, it's not a competition. You're not rushing or competing against anybody. You're trying to find the best life for you. You're trying to create the
Can we talk
best
about
life
that
for you.
though? Like, how?
Especially our community.
Yeah, there's like an unsaid competition about like school, work, jobs, all those things. Like, people want to be on top.
Or even our parents, it's like going back to if your child chooses not to go to college, and it's
Yeah.
like if your friends see one of her girlfriends and be like, oh, how is your daughter? How is college? And it's like,
She's cool. Like, your daughter's
you know, like it's hard for them to like spill it out and say, oh, you know, she's not going
because
to school.
the second somebody knows your child is in the 12th grade, from the day they enter 12th grade to the day that's the only
They want to know like what's the next step. What is
Yeah.
she, what is she trying to accomplish after high school? Does she want to go to college? What is she trying to be, a doctor, a lawyer? You know, and those are like the main like careers in the community, like a doctor, lawyer. What was the other one? Nurse. Like it's like the other ones you're useless.
Yeah.
I think especially if, like with what we were talking about earlier with like parents, you know, pushing a certain career. If you are going off to college and you decide you don't want to do what your parents assume that you should do or require you to do or whatever, just to, you know, if you show passion in something, there's very few parents that won't support you. You know, their parents will support you even if you're not doing exactly what they want you to do. But if you're showing real passion and like determination in that field, I mean, it would really take like somebody.
Eventually they will turn around.
Can you clarify what passion determination is for some people?
Okay, for example,
I'm for real though.
No, I mean like, for me, if I had just said, oh, I want to do public health, and then like I was just like failing my classes and not being serious about it, you know, like the seriousness my parents saw behind me doing public health is what made them come on board. You know, it wasn't just something I'm like, oh, let me just do this because it's something to do. It was like I showed that, one, I liked it, I enjoyed the classes, like I constantly talked about it. You can know. I guess I can't really explain passion too well. I know
what you mean.
But, like, you can tell when somebody really is into something, you know? Like, it was, I live and breathe public health. Yeah. So, one, like, you know, doing well in school can show somebody that you're determined. Looking out for jobs that are in your field can show somebody that you're determined. And then sharing what you're learning in school with your family as well. Yeah. You know, sometimes, you know, we like to just go to school and come home and not say anything to our parents. But if you're showing your parents what you're learning, and they can see that, you know, and sharing that with your family. So I think that's really important to show, you know. So that's the best way I can explain passion.
That's real clear.
So, but, you know, on, like, the school tip or whatever, for me, you know, finishing school early was really important for me. Even though, like, I understand that some people do need to take time. As I am right now, like, I'm 23, I'm about to be done with my master's. I feel pretty free. I feel like if I don't go back to school, like, school is like not hanging over my head anymore, so that's a nice feeling as well, just to be done. Yeah.
I'm sure your family's happy for you to be done too.
Yeah, I'm really tired. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I think that wraps up our segment here. All right, on to our next section, which is our listener letters. Melissa, could you please read the question? All right. The question is, what are some things you do to ease your stress?
I love to run. If I'm stressed out, I'll definitely be speed walking, running, or one of the things I love to do is just like listen to music. And, you know, like whatever like song you're listening to, you just got to kind of figure out the mood and pick, you know, I like to go through certain songs that correlate with my mood so I can just kind of be in the moment. That would probably be the main thing is like running though.
Running?
Yeah, running and listening to music. Whatever I'm feeling, I got to listen to a song and then run that thing off.
For me, I like to listen to music to KTIS.
Two snaps.
Yeah, that is my station. That's how I, you know, just let go of my stress or just listen to some music that needs some words of encouragement.
Yeah.
For me, I like to go on Tumblr and look up funny memes.
Oh yeah, you do all the time and send them to us.
Oh man, I just can, like, it just kind of takes me out of like that mood, all the stress that I'm under, and I can just like laugh. Sometimes I laugh so hard that I pass out and go to bed. Seriously, you know that video that, well, not just memes, but like videos too, especially that turn around and die video.
What?
The one where the boy gets like, God, this is horrible. The black boy gets his paper back and he's like, hey, I got a B+. And the white boy looks at his paper, he has an F. And then he goes, turn around and die. Like, anyway, you have to look it up. It's hilarious.
I'm going to look it up now.
I have it on my phone. like videos like that really like just entertain me to the core. And so I'll watch that, laugh good. Like if I just have a good laugh, I can usually like ease most of my stress.
That's true. I guess maybe that's why I like to hang with you ladies and I'm stressed. Cause
You laugh at like the most.
Yeah, laughing is really a good stress reliever, and I can just like usually I can laugh enough that I can fall asleep. Like just just tire myself out.
You know those the videos I send you guys on Facebook? The one with like the Nigerian guy. You know, American versus Nigerian music. Sorry, those make me laugh so much.
Those memes with Young Jock.
Oh my gosh, with this new haircut.
It's ridiculous.
Oh my
Those
goodness.
are
People went
hilarious.
in. I
Oh my
can't even
goodness.
get mad at them because that hairstyle is just.
So yeah, that's one thing I like to do that's like more in like connected. Usually if I'm really, really stressed, I just like to be alone. I like to lay in my bed in the darkness. That sounds way more creepy than it is.
I like to be alone too.
Me too.
I like to lay like just in the darkness and stare at the wall. It sounds really like antisocial, but
Call it what it is, Hawa.
but it really just like sometimes light for me is associated with like busyness and like stress. So when like the room is dim and like dark and I can just kind of lay there and just kind of like take a breath, that's really like helpful for me.
Yeah.
It's not be like running around. So
Not like me.
for some reason, exercise causes me more stress because I'm so concerned about not doing it right.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Or being consistent.
Am I doing it correctly? Like I don't like to like when I go and work out. I'm so concerned about how I look. Is my leg correctly placed? Is my
Oh, you know that
yeah.
honestly, that's the truth for me too. Because when I'm stressed, I go running really early in the morning, like around 4 or 5 a.m. When no one's outside.
That's safe.
Well, hey, you know you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
We have to replace her. Melissa. Richland was she's gone.
Person was eaten by a wolf.
Where do you live? Oh man, that was a good question. I think that was a fun question.
That was good.
Self-care is really important. So do what you gotta do if it means laying in a dark room or running at 3:00 in the morning.
or listening to KTIS. Do what works for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Now it's time for our call to action. And this week we're really encouraging our listeners to go out and explore their hobbies and interests more. You know, we talked about education earlier in the episode and how it's really important to go after what you're passionate about, but also kind of know what you're passionate about before you go after it.
That's
So
right.
take time to explore, whether that means research, whether that means talking to your parents, talking to friends, talking to people in your community, in your school, and really exploring your own interests and hobbies, but exploring things that you're not necessarily interested in, but maybe you'll find something of value in them. So we encourage our listeners to do that. You don't necessarily have to be a person like in high school graduating. You can be a grown woman and do that too. I think
Yeah.
sometimes we feel like, you know, I'm past that age, but no, you can do it at any age. I'm always learning new things about myself.
I know. Me too.
Oh, you know what I really like?
What?
Human resources.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I'm not going to go back to school.
Well, I think it's safe to say that wraps up episode 3 of the Palava. Thank you so much for our listeners.
Yeah.
And please send in your listener questions. We'd love to be able to pull a question that you wrote and be able to answer it on the show. Okay. Have a great day and have an even better week.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Bye.